from Charlotte to be here with us today. Josh is a wonderful mix of deliciousness, funny, and very saucy, packed in a little package. And so here to welcome us to Josh to the stage, our very last comic of the day. Come on, Josh. Woo!
What's up, guys? My name's Josh. Really happy to be here. I'm from Charlotte, and Charlotte is not diverse. You know, I'm so excited to be performing between some Asian people. That's great. Yeah, like I was sitting in the crowd over there. I was like, oh, okay, I'm seeing a lot of like white dudes and Asian women together. That means the place is diverse. And then I saw a couple over there that was a white girl with an Asian dude. I was like, oh my God, we're really diverse. So yeah, I'm really happy to be here. Super excited because, yeah, so I moved to Charlotte about like 6 months ago. And ever since I moved there, I have never been mistaken for Latino more. If you guys couldn't tell, I am Filipino. And all right, we got some Filipinos back there. Give a hand for the Philippines. Yeah, they made me indirectly. Yeah, so ever since I moved here, everyone keeps thinking I'm Latino, and I've started leaning into it. You know, like I think at this point, Filipino should be considered Latino. Like, all our families are Catholic, the food is the same, so much of our language is already Spanish words. The only difference between like a Filipino and a Mexican, for example, is just a green card. Marriage. We did it illegally too. This is why I have so much sympathy for undocumented immigrants, because if we had a border, we'd cross it too. But the islands, they're so far away. What were we gonna do, swim? No, that's why we had to get creative. That's why we all learned how to sing. So we could tag along on the cruise ships. Filipinos, we were fresh off the boat, but we got paid for it. Yeah, there's this little trick I like to say about how you can tell how long a Filipino woman has been in the US, and it's by counting the ratio of nurses to white husbands at her Christmas party. Like if there's none of them, like no white husbands, she just got here. If there's a few, she's been here a few years. And if it's an even split, she was born here. And she's a little scared to tell her parents she doesn't want to be a nurse. Alrighty, if you guys couldn't guess from that too, my mom is a nurse. She's in healthcare. Yeah, I am the stereotype. That's lovely. And when she, like growing up, she always told me that she wanted me to go into medicine too. And because she went into nursing, because she wanted to take care of the family. But here's the thing. When people in healthcare are your parents, they don't really believe your symptoms. You know, they don't think of you as a patient. So healthcare was still hard for me, you know? Instead of like having to wait 3 months for an appointment to the doctor, I had to wait 3 months for my mom to realize that my limp wasn't just me being dramatic. The thing about parents in healthcare too is that like all of your doctors are just family friends. I had to get a physical once, so I can say that I've had my balls grabbed by someone I call auntie. Legally, too. That's actually a lie. She never grabbed my balls. She kind of just like looked at me in the doctor's office and was like, "Your balls are good, right?" And I was like, "You're the doctor." And I think in her head, what was going through her head was like, do I ask him if I can see his balls, or do I just maybe commit medical malpractice? You know what? I'll risk it. Alrighty. I got diagnosed with ADHD as an adult. Any folks with ADHD out here? All right, cool. When did you get diagnosed? 33. That's awesome. I'm not that old. That wasn't a slight or anything. It was just a fun fact about me. Fun fact, I'm younger than 33. I don't know. But yeah, I got diagnosed as an adult. I had to wait years for that appointment. My mom was like, we don't have ADHD in the Philippines. I'm like, we're not in the Philippines. So I finally got diagnosed when I was a little bit older. In retrospect, I was wondering, like, how come my teachers didn't realize I had ADHD? How come they didn't see the hyperactivity? And I realized it was because I was a chubby kid growing up. Before I ever got annoying, I got winded. And the thing about, like, ADHD too is it's a genetic thing. It gets passed down. My family, like, clearly, it runs in the family. My dad very clearly has ADHD, but it's kind of hard when no one else in your family believes in it. My dad, like, he told me that it was just something that he thinks he just grew out of, but he still zones out a lot, and he's 55 and still causing car accidents on the highway. Yeah, like, he says that none of those are his fault too, you know? And I could believe it the first time. The second time, sure, maybe that family of four deserved it. But the third time, you can't tell me that the garage door just came out of nowhere. He was like, oh, I forgot the car was in drive. And I was like, I wonder why. Let's get that checked out. I do miss, so I moved to Charlotte about 6 months ago from Vegas, and I miss Vegas a lot because the Asian community there, they were really tight, you know, like the Southeast Asian community specifically. And because, like, Filipinos and, like, the Vietnamese community, for example, we were very tight because we were always so used to working with each other because we would do the hair, they would do the nails. The Thai people would do the massages. Then the whole spa would go out together and go to karaoke for Korean fried chicken in Chinatown. It was the best cultural exchange. You know, that's true, like, melting pot diversity there. So I do miss that a lot. I didn't move to North Carolina for no reason, though. I moved here initially for a corporate job. Quit that like a month in because I thought I could just find another one in this economy. Nope. And the reason for it was, like, I had so much confidence in myself. Like, I thought I was doing everything right, you know? Because, like, I got the internships, went to the Ivy League school, not the one you're thinking of. That's why I'm unemployed. Yeah, like, I really thought that, like, it was just going to be okay for me, but guess not. I realized after, like, being unemployed for a little bit that there are different kinds of poor. Some people are poor. I'm Ivy League poor. I'm poor with $100,000 of student loan debt. Yeah, I have a mortgage on a house that doesn't exist. Whenever I tell this to people, they're like, Josh, you have $100,000 of debt? That's crazy. I'm like, hey, slow your roll. My parents and I have $100,000 of debt. Yeah, they co-signed the loans. Doesn't that, like, that sounds so much better, because if you think about it, I only really have $30,000 of debt. Like, you could marry someone with $30,000 of debt. Like, that $30,000 is a Honda Civic. You could marry someone who owes money on a Honda Civic. But $100,000 of debt, that's deadbeat boyfriend level debt, you know? Like, you wouldn't date someone who owes money on 3 Hondas. Yeah, it's been confusing for my parents too, because they don't really know whether or not to be proud of me. Because my mom, she's like telling her friends, like, oh, I'm so proud of Josh. He went to Dartmouth, studied neuroscience, and and then she come to my dad and be like, yeah, he's asking for rent money again. And it's been confusing for me too, because like I know that her friends, they'll ask me if I could like coach her kids or coach their kids and how to get into like a really good school. And the truth is, I don't know how I did it. But I do know that Asian parents will pay $50 an hour for that kind of advice, and I'm not above lying. So I kind of just tell them like, hey, I just studied really hard in school, I guess. But there's easier ways to get to where I am, like a gambling addiction. Yeah. Like if you give your kid a credit card and an account on DraftKings, he can be like me one day. It's so interesting that Asian parents are so like invested in their kids going to like Ivy League schools. I realize it's because they think their kids in the best position to be doctors. But when I got to college, I realized pretty quickly that all the Asians there were just people who were formerly pre-med. You know, like you send an Asian kid to the Ivy League for a chemistry degree, they're coming out with an English degree and a book of poems about how their parents never said I love you. All about like cutting fruit. No? No one gets, that's like, okay. There's this like generation of Gen Z Asians these days who are like trying to break out of the stereotype and be like, oh, my parents showed me different ways of affection. They made me so much food. And that's everyone. That's it. Like, it's not a novel thought. But yeah, one of the hardest conversations I had to have with my parents was telling them I wasn't going to be pre-med anymore. And you guys know the acronym LGBTQIA? Yeah, the A stands for Asian, because telling my parents I wasn't pre-med felt like coming out. Yeah, I was like, Mom, Dad, I gotta tell you something. I'm getting a different degree. And they're okay with that now. They're like, as long as you get a PhD, you're gonna be a doctor one way or another. I'm a bartender now. In the meantime, I really love my job. I don't know who needs to hear this. Hear it from me as a bartender, but the white people are tipping 20%. It's like, yeah. I just had to say that. I'm so like frustrated because I'll see like Asian folks who I really, really like and we're vibing and they're like, oh my god, we love you, and then I see the tip and it's like $2 and I'm like, come on. Yeah, I do love this job, I love it a lot, but my parents are just kind of okay with it. Like they moved to this country because they were like, we wanted to give you a better life. So when I told them like I really liked how fast-paced it was. I liked being on my feet. They were like, we moved to this country and worked so hard so you can sit down. Guess at my bar that like a lot of folks play this fun little game with me that I always get tripped up on. It's usually female customers too. It's called Guess My Age. Yeah, there's not really a right answer to that. Yeah, like these women will come to the bar, like looking all pretty and stuff, and like they are very, very attractive women. And they're like, oh, how old do you think I am? I'm like 30. They don't like it when I play to win. So they hear 30 and they're like, you're right. I didn't like that you were right, but you're right. And my coworkers, they realized I wasn't making that many friends for this game. So they were like, Josh, the right answer when they ask you your age is to take your answer and just subtract 5. You know, like if she's 30, just say she's 25, she'll love it. I learned that this doesn't always work because telling a woman she looks 57 instead of 62, it packs the same punch. And that punch hurt. That lady had a mean right hook. Like, never tell a woman she looks 57, because she might be 45. Yeah. This job has taught me so much about people in general. I've learned so much about my coworkers. I learned also that, like, mental health with other guys, pretty simple. The other day, my bar manager, he was going through a breakup, and he just comes up to me, and he's like, Josh, I'm just feeling so low today. I'm like, okay, noted. And then 30 minutes later, he comes back, and he's like, Josh, I'm just really sad. I was like, holy shit, he's gonna kill himself. Because do you know how bad it has to get for a guy to open up to you twice? Took him out for beers that night. He's doing well now. That's the right way to do stuff. Yeah. Ever since I moved to Charlotte, though, I've been making a lot more friends with guys, which is kind of new for me. One of my friends, I realize now that I'm pretty under-practiced when it comes to talking to other guys about girls. And also, it just happens that my guy friends nowadays are kind of liberal too, so I'm a little scared to say the wrong thing. Like the other day, my friend was showing me this picture of this girl that I was talking to. He was like, oh, here she is, what do you think? And my first thought was like, whoa, nice tits. But my second thought was, she is a woman, she is a person, you have to be respectful. Like, you can't just objectify her like that. But he's showing you a picture. So he clearly wants you to talk about her body, right? But you gotta be chill. And I'm like panicking, I don't know what to say. I'm like, yeah, she's great, cool ass. Cool ass is not something you say. Those aren't two words that fit together. It's like, dang. Now he thinks you're weird. You gotta backtrack a lot. It's like, I meant cool ass picture. I wasn't talking about her ass. It's not great at all. That's not a cool ass. It's actually quite boring. Like, it's not a good one at all. I'm being so mean right now, but I bet she's really smart. And he was like, yeah, she is. I don't know how you could tell that from this picture of her at the beach. But doesn't she have great tits? I was like, damn. Could have just said that. All right, thank you guys. This has been lovely. You guys have been great. Thank you so much to Triangle Pop-Up. And I'll hand the mic back to Bo.
Thank you, Josh.